This is the first installation of my own personal story regarding bipolar and things relating to it. I'm hoping not to bore anybody. Everybody's story's different, but I think mine's pretty typical of a lot of people's experience. This one video, I believe, will be on the shorter side because I wanted it to be just about childhood, and because I need to save a whole one for teenhood, because that's when things started to get really messy. When I was a child, I definitely had bouts of depression and anxiety. But there are possible explanations for that, external explanations. What was once called, oh, she's just very, very shy. She's very quiet. What a good girl, teacher's pet. What was really happening inside is I was just terrified to talk. It was very difficult to make friends. I was constantly questioning myself, things I said, every movement I made, and comparing myself to the other children. So that caused a lot of anxiety and difficulty with friendships. So that was a source of depression. Once I did make friends, I was a loyal friend and often clingy, and drove away friends just for that reason, because I was so insecure and constantly questioning if I'd done something to offend them or said something or something minor, and I would all of a sudden assume they hated me. And that was later diagnosed in my 20s as social anxiety disorder, which I do have and I struggle with and always have since I was a child. It's never gone away. Antidepressants like Zoloft did help, but I can't take those anymore because of the bipolar disorder. So I do things like yoga. But anyway, getting back to the childhood thing, the other thing is that I grew up in a household with both parents alcoholics. At that time, my dad would often go to the bar, especially on payday, like Friday night. And my mom would get upset and be calling the bar and calling people to call the bar, and he, spend all the money, but she would be at home drinking too. And she would do what they call drunk dialing, and she would call everyone in that phone book, family and friends. And even as a young child, I was embarrassed knowing she was doing it, because I knew the other people on the other end of the phone knew she was just wasted, and she would just go on and on and on about her pathetic life and blah, blah, blah. But I'd be trying to go about my kid business, playing with toys and stuff. But when she would run out of people to talk to, she would have me sit at the kitchen table, and then I became her audience. And being a little kid, I didn't need to be in that situation, and hearing an adult tell me how horrible their life was. And then on weekends, and then when my dad was laid off, it was more frequent than just weekends. They had big parties, strange people coming in the house, drinking. There was pot smoking. I know there was drugs. I specifically remember one incident where I was so happy that this strange, beautiful young woman wanted to play checkers with me, and she passed out right on the board. I would get up in the morning and have to walk through a maze of passed out people and stepping over trash of beer cans and stuff to get a bowl of cereal. So, that kind of stuff can lead to anxiety and depression in a child. Who's to say which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the constant, persistent, intense stress change the chemical patterns in my brain and cause a mood disorder to develop, because they do know that you can change your brain chemistry patterns under constant stress, like with post-traumatic stress disorder. Or were these situations worsened by a mood disorder that was already existent? Or maybe neither. Maybe I was just depressed and anxious because of what was going on with anxiety, social anxiety, and not terrible, I mean, they didn't beat me or anything, but, you know, it was just unpredictable and unpleasant. And I loved school up to about the 5th grade because it was so organized and quiet, and I knew what to expect next, and I would see the same people in the same places every day. So but I do remember having periods where I would just have crying jags for misinterpret things that people did, and just have periods where I cried very easily. And then I also specifically remember having periods where I felt really good about myself. And I did have a friend or two, or I did make friends. I did have a group of friends. And then I would have periods where I just distance myself from those friends and go wander out in the field at night, listening, and sit down and listen to them play and just not feel like a part of the world. You know, so I really do suspect that I had a mood disorder happening as early as that. But the other things didn't help. So that's that. I had a traumatic incident with some teachers who took me out in the hall and paddled me and wouldn't tell me why, and it turned out the girl maybe had lied about what I'd done. It was a big mess, and it was very traumatic. And I did suffer post-traumatic stress from it. It sounds minor when I just sort of throw it in here, but it would take a year for me to get into it. And I really don't know if that really has anything to do with the bipolar. I think more of the constant stress that I went through might. Okay, so anyway, next will be my teen years and my first experience with the psychiatrist and medications and hospitalizations and suicide attempt. Lovely. See you then.